Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to Life from the Wrist. Hope you are doing well today. I think it's fair to say that I enjoy an abnormally designed watch. That doesn't mean that I don't like classical watches. If you actually look at my personal collection, I have a really wide range of watches when it comes to very simple classic designed watches, time-only pieces, but then I do have something like a memo sail, which is a different way of displaying a yacht timer movement. Today we're going to be looking at an Amida Digitrend, which kind of encompasses the idea of an abnormal way of telling time. It utilizes a jump hour movement. This is the watch right here. It's from the 1970s. As you can see, you're not going to read it like you typically read a watch straight down or horizontally. You're actually going to end up reading the time vertically. This is a pretty unique way of telling time, but it utilizes a jump hour movement and is reminiscent, or I should say, the HM5 from MB&F looks very, very similar to this specific watch, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much, because MB&F created something, and it's quite interesting. I learned about the HM5 and then found this Amida Digitrend, and it was just a very interesting experience for me. So we're going to dive into this watch as we always do. I'll give you some close-ups of it, give you some history of the watch itself. One of my personal favorites. I've loved this watch for many years. I've had the opportunity to have multiple Amida Digitrends during the time that I've done Life on the Wrist. So very excited to jump into it. So without further ado, let's get into this watch. So, the Amida Digitrend was originally introduced in 1976, and it definitely has a lot of the design elements that you would imagine from a watch from that era. It was actually released at Baselworld in 1976, as I mentioned, to compete with a lot of the LED watches of that era. They were created by brands like Girard Perregaux and Bulova, who were creating jump hour movements, or sort of similar displays to this. However, they used, a lot of them used quartz movements. And so Amida Digitrend decided to compete with those brands and release something like this. Of course, this is a fairly unique aesthetic, but they were really creating something that would be used as a watch for driving. So, just to kind of describe this watch before we jump into a little bit more of the piece. So what you essentially have here is, if you think about it, you're wearing it on your wrist, you basically have a completely flat surface on the top of the watch. What you really need to do is turn it on its profile so you can see how the watch is actually displayed. So it has this stainless steel case that looks very, very similar to the back of a race car. And as you turn it, you'll see a display, and I will get the focus here. You will see a display where the time is displayed on these sapphire crystals. And essentially what you're looking at is a design that Amida tried to create, which was supposed to remind the wearer of the dashboard of a car. And so you have a jump hour movement that is read by looking horizontally into the guts of the car, as opposed to looking down at your watch vertically and trying to tell the time this way. It has a crown at the side of the watch. We look here, yeah. You have a crown at the side of the watch which helps you set the time, and a fairly large area for where the movement sits. It utilizes a jump hour movement, which is why it needs quite a bit of space to sort of display the time onto these sapphire crystals. So the Amida Digitrends were released in two different versions. There was the stainless steel version, which is like this one here, but then there also was a PVD coated case Amida Digitrend that were released. I had the opportunity to actually handle both of those pieces. So I've had the PVD black finished one, and then I also have had, obviously, I've got this I apologize for this focus. There we go. And then I've also had this stainless steel version of this watch, which is it's quite cool to compare them. I think I prefer the PVD finished ones, but yeah, each to their own there. So as I mentioned, these were competing with the LED technology of the era, and were utilizing a manual wind movement. So the movement that's in this watch, though, was really the biggest, I'll say, gripe, but made this watch fairly affordable. It utilized a 1 joule pin lever movement that was produced by the Michael Berger watch company, MBWC. They produced very, very cheap jump hour movements, and Amida sourced those movements for these watches. The idea was that the movements were fairly easy to produce, cheap, and were basically used as almost like plug and play, sort of like the Swatch System 51 movements, and how if your Swatch System 51 movement breaks, what you'll do is basically just replace the entire movement. So similar concept with this 1 joule pin lever movement that is used in this watch. These a lot of the movements didn't actually survive because they were very badly produced, and so a lot of people ended up replacing them with 17 joule movement that MBWC produced for jump hour watches as well. So I can quickly just show you here. So as you see, you basically elapse time with the right side, which gives you your minutes, and then the left panel where the hours are displayed jumps forward. A pretty cool way of being able to tell time. I can give you a quick shot of this watch on the wrist. The watch is 42 millimeters and 38 millimeters from lug to lug. So pretty cool size. I actually think it fits really, really nicely. Obviously, I have this book here because the watch was used as inspiration for the HM5, and so if you ever look at a size comparison, this watch is so much smaller than the HM5, but I think it's a really nice size. Fits quite nicely, very comfortable. The black PVD version that I had of this watch had this really nice rubber strap, and I actually really enjoyed that. This still looks good on this aftermarket bracelet, but it's just such a cool different type of watch. These are, I wouldn't say that they're really, really rare, but I'd say that they pop up every once in a while, and are fiercely competed on to try and get one of these. But at the end of the day, the movement isn't the 1 joule movement, or even the 17 joule movement if you have the replacement movement, isn't really all that impressive. And so these are actually not as expensive as you would imagine something so unique to be, which is kind of cool. One thing I wanted to mention is Amida created an Amida Digitrend Instagram page recently, and I stumbled across it on Instagram, and there's nothing that has been posted on their website or on their Instagram about maybe a re-release of this watch, but I have a feeling something is coming. And so if you go to the article on our website, I'll put a link to the Instagram page for Amida Digitrend, because it'd be very exciting to see what they end up, if they end up releasing something, because I think a lot of us would love to have a jump arm movement like this. So a really cool, unique iteration of a jump arm movement from the 1970s. It's wearable, it's a fun piece of horological history, and it's definitely something that you should consider picking up if you have the opportunity to find one of these online. Hope you enjoyed looking at this Amida Digitrend with the jump arm movement. I think it's a really cool, interesting, funky part of watch collecting, and I always think that's pretty interesting when you're looking at sort of the history of watches, is to find a watch that's you know, a little bit different than the others. I mentioned it in the intro and probably when I was talking about it, but I've had the opportunity to have the PVD finished Amida Digitrend. The stainless steel one has a very different feel to it. I think I prefer the PVD finish just because it's, I don't know, a little bit different. Stainless steel is great, looks great, but there's a charm about the black PVD that I really like. If you want to read more about this Amida Digitrend, be sure to head over to our website, lifefromtherest.com. You can go to the editorial section and see our article there. You can also follow us on our social media sites, where we're constantly posting this watch for sure. I posted it last Sunday, so there'll probably be a couple more posts about it as well. If you are new to Life from the Wrist, be sure to hit the subscribe button and share this video with a friend who might be interested in watches. Would love to have you guys part of the channel. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this watch, and if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button for me, it really does help me out. With that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time.